Goats, milk tea, dunk takes, oh my, a new tradition forms in Southeast. Food trucks at school, but for how much longer? An esports team won nationals? All this and more coming up on BTV. Hi, I'm Miles, and you're watching BTV. Welcome back, Buffs. This is the first episode in nearly a year where everyone's back in the building in person. I'm sure you've seen the increase in people in the building since last year. Well, you're not imagining it. They're actually here. We'll have more of that on the overcrowding next episode. If you've passed in the hallways by the cafeteria during passing periods and noticed that there's a lot of people just sitting around, well, that's due to holes in schedules and just missing classes in general.
2,183 Golden Buffaloes at Southeast this year, the biggest number the school has ever seen. With this overwhelming number of students, many of them were left without a complete schedule and stranded in the cafeteria during their empty hours. Assistant Principal Henning has information on why this was such a big issue this year.
Last year there were a couple things that were different. Students were remote to begin the year, so we could put a few more kids in a class. We weren't limited by the physical size of the classroom. So that helped, where we could put a little bit more kids in each class because there wasn't a classroom that we had to worry about. The other part is that our enrollment has increased. We have currently 2,183 kids on our Synergy system. We were right at 2,000 about a year ago, 1992. So we're up about roughly 200 kids that we have to put in classes.
Another reason there were so many holes in schedules is because after the COVID year, many students had unexpectedly not shown up to school, but were still showing up on teachers' rosters. This confusion set counselors back in the process of assigning students to classes.
I think the counselors, they're doing their best. It is a frustrating, it's been frustrating just with the amount of students that we have and the lack of class space that we have. We're pretty full here at Southeast. Every classroom is being used. We're doing what we can to get kids into classes, but if you look around our school, our area is growing. So at some point we need to kind of look at probably boundaries, or we need to expand our school.
Thanks to our hardworking counselors, all student schedules have been filled. We will keep you updated on how the school plans to deal with the overpopulation in the upcoming years.
Thanks, Sam. Have you gotten your vaccine yet? If not, there are opportunities to get it right here at Southeast. Vaccine clinics around the city are administering the vaccine in high schools. On the 16th of August, they gave out vaccines to students in the Southeast community. Nearly 80 Buffs got their shots, but the district is still warning people to be safe.
This is important to get vaccinated against COVID, but parents, students, we need to make sure that you're getting your required vaccinations to attend school as well, especially our high school students, the meningococcal, and our middle school students, that addition of meningococcal and Tdap. So let's keep our kids vaccinated, healthy, and safe.
After a year of staying home, students are now back to being in person. What are they looking forward to? What did students miss last year? My co-anchor Neo has more details in our first ever Have You Heard segment.
Hello, my name is Neo Johnson, and we are here with the Have You Heard? Have You Heard is a segment that we will be doing every episode that is going around asking you Buffs what your opinions are on things. This week, our question for Have You Heard was, what did you miss being online, and what do you enjoy doing now that you're in person?
Last year online, you got distracted easily, so...
School is slightly the same in some variants, but I'm more focused while I'm here, so I can't really complain.
It's pretty much the same. The only difference is we have to wear a mask often, and you kind of don't get to stop and talk to as many people because there's so many more people, so you just want to get out of the hallway and get to class really fast.
That's all we have for you today on Have You Heard? We hope to hear from you next time.
Thanks, Neil. We're nearing the 20th anniversary of the terrorist attack that shocked our nation back in 2001. Many students have been learning about the attack, and we have the perfect place to learn about it. The National 9/11 Museum collaborated with the American Library Association to make posters readily available to libraries to encourage teachers and students to reflect on what they know about 9/11. The posters are on the second floor of the windows at the library. While the Buffs here were not able to witness the attack, we have a few teachers and staff who witnessed it back when they were in school, either as teachers or students. This is what they have to say.
This was back at the old building in my old classroom, and I started teaching in 2000, so it was like the second year I was teaching at Southeast. And I had my Drama 1 class in the classroom, and Mr. Finley, who was the band instructor, walked by the hallway and waved at me to come out. Now this is before we had phones in the classrooms and computers and everything like that. So he waved me out in the hall and he said, something's going on, there's something happening. And then he said, I think that a plane has hit the World Trade Center. And I was like, wow. And then everything tumbled after that.
I'd come back from brushing my teeth to my bedroom, and it had gone from a cable network to live news, and one of the buildings was already kind of smoking where the first plane had hit it. And right about the time that I started watching TV, the second plane came in and hit the second building. So that's actually my most vivid memory.
Everybody was afraid, and those that kind of had some phones and tried to connect with family. My daughter was in daycare, she is 3, and I actually called the daycare to make sure everything was okay there and make sure she was safe.
You know, probably before 2:30, all of the kids were gone because every parent was afraid, what's going to happen to my kid, what's happening to the world.
I will say that it affected my age group pretty seriously. Like I said, we were about to go to that age where we were going to graduate. So I had friends that never even considered military service that suddenly went and signed up. Guys that right out of high school went to basic training and then ended up in Iraq and Afghanistan. So I went from, these guys that were kind of calm, regular teenagers to really kind of being more patriotic, wanting to do stuff. But then I also had the fear of guys I'd known since kindergarten going off to battle and possibly dying. I know we were scared of being drafted because we didn't know what was going to happen.
That event kind of mobilized what being an American was, because those terrorists didn't care what color you were. They just knew that they wanted to attack our democracy and our freedoms. So I think what it did is it kind of put us all together for a brief moment in terms of we were all afraid of the unknown. Who dislikes the American way of life?
Another thing new to Southeast this year is late start Wednesdays. The purpose of the new Wednesday schedule is to give teachers time to plan and talk to their colleagues for the implementation of standards reference grading. Many students that ride the bus are unsure of where to go or what to do during the school time before class starts.
Eventually we'd like to get some tutoring going on where we'll have tutoring if you need extra help in certain subject areas. Come ready to relax a little bit. There's not a whole lot. With that many kids, it's difficult to find a lot of activities for you.
Teachers around the district are receiving thousands of dollars for school projects. Donovan Powell tells us what we can look forward to here at Southeast.
Recently, teachers around the district have been given an EDGE grant for education, which is money that is given to teachers to help better educate their students.
My program I'm trying to grow is marketing, and so I was able to get a $1,500 grant to be able to help possibly get a coffee shop, a more mobile one, for our kids to be able to have something more on the daily to use in our marketing department.
L through Q counselor Mr. Timont is another recipient, and he explains how he's going to use his money.
To put a sand pit, a multi-purpose sand pit, which will probably be mostly volleyball, but it'll be multi-purpose. So you can play volleyball on it, and anyone can do that. It'll be across all those disciplines.
Both of these projects are a work in progress, so keep a lookout for them once they're ready to go. For BTV, I'm Donovan Powell.
Now, as you guys know, we're in the middle of nowhere, and it's very hard to find something to eat. But fortunately for us, our school got us food trucks. But we are in violation of district policy. So we're gonna have to move them just slightly across the street, but we're still gonna have more coming soon.
I let them know that we're not going to do away with food trucks, but resoundingly, our kids want food trucks. We will eventually move them to 127th Street, and they will be right off of the public easement off 127th Street.
Now, if you haven't already seen, we're at the first ever Buff Blast here at Southeast. But what exactly is Buff Blast? The Buff Blast is like an open house, but with new traditions that the staff members at Southeast put together so that the students and parents can be more involved.
Make it a little bit more exciting and tie it in with not only our football game, but also make it kind of a festival tailgate style thing where people can be a little bit more excited about coming and meeting their teachers, get teachers a little bit more excited about interacting with families and students.
The Buffalo Blast is different from the original open house because we are no longer inside the school building, and there are more activities that the students and parents can interact with. There are also college recruiters, games, and even animals.
And there's going to be clubs that are providing fundraising opportunities that are going to have various things for sale or activities that you can purchase tickets to participate in. And then on top of that, a whole nother layer is that we're also going to have some colleges that come out to do some advertisement and do some recruiting to get students involved in their programs.
And I mean, we are just really expanding this and enhancing much more than just open house. We want to bring a reason for people to want to come out to the school. It is a drive for people, but we want to have a reason for people to come out and drive. Yeah, and make that celebration happen.
I'm enjoying it. I'm working hard, working for my club. I love it.
I think all of us are having fun here, you know, enjoying it. Pretty nice out here, kind of, not really. It's pretty hot.
It's hot, but you know, it's all about the fun.
So much better. There's so much things to do, so much things to eat, and you know, I think everyone's just having so much fun.
Yeah, I wish we would have thought of it sooner.
I think this would be amazing to keep going.
Like, this open house is more people oriented. There's more people here. Everyone's just having a good time. There's music, there's fun. It's just more fun.
And now, David Lowndes with sports.
Hey there, Southeast. I'm David, your sports anchor. Sports are back in session and fans are back in the stands. But, however, with a few rules with mask mandates, masks are required for indoors at all times, but with outdoors is merely a suggestion. And speaking of outdoors, here we are at our very first football game, a home opener, and let's get right to the highlights. Early second, no score. Buffs hand it off to Kanye Brown near the 50. Brown cuts back across the field and finds a whole lot of daylight. Southeast on the board, first 7-0. Later in the second, Buffs in the red zone. Joel Underwood this time around the right side. He punches it in to make it 14-0. And just before half now, Southeast again threatening, and it worked last time, so why not? Underwood around the right side for another score. That makes it 21-0 at the half. Southeast got one more score before the game was called due to weather, unfortunately. Volleyball had their first triangle at Heights. The varsity team lost to Northwest before sweeping Heights 2-0. Their first home match will be September 21st against North and South. Varsity boys soccer wins their first game of the season against the Wichita Warriors 4-0. They followed that up with a win from the boys varsity with a 2-0 win against West. Girls tennis had rescheduled their first match, but they had a big win in a duel against South. Girls golf had their first win in Emporia, but we'll have more later than how they did in their tournament in the next episode. Esports had a successful season with the tournaments in Kansas City and Century 2, both the Overwatch and Valorant teams, especially Valorant, winning nationals, even with the invitation from Inner Circle of all the best players in the nation. And with another sports segment, here's Ricky Clay with his segment Buff Elites, introducing Southeast athletes.
Hi, welcome back to Buff Elites, hosted by Ricky. I am here today with Tayden Edenfield, is that right? Our star wide receiver for our football team this year. Now, Tayden, one thing I heard about you, and, you know, I've heard people, you know, who's this Tayden guy? I heard you came from a different school, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Where are you coming from?
Andover Central.
Andover Central. Well, I'm glad to have you here. Now, a couple questions. What do you think is going to be the biggest benefactor from our defensive side of the ball this year?
Definitely our defensive line. I think we have the best defensive line in the state. We got a lot of size and a lot of speed there, and Coach Bagley, being a former D lineman, is a very good coach there and really helps us out.
All right, sounds great. Another thing to help us get over 500. Now, offensively, I'm going to ask you the same question. What do you think your biggest weapons are on that side of the ball?
Man, definitely our wide receiver core. Our wide receiver core, man, we got Tylen Smith and we got Deshaun Wright coming from Derby. We got so many weapons there. All we need is a quarterback to get the ball, and we got Isaiah and TJ to do the job.
All right, sounds great. Hear it here first. Great weapons on both sides of the ball. One thing, a big picture thing is How has it been transitioning here to this school? You know, I know it's different from Andover, you know, more a little bit cultural diversity and everything like that. How has it been, the experience of a new chemistry of a new team, new coaching staff, and just the school in general?
I like it a lot more. You know, the energy here is a lot better than over there, and you know, it's really been a great experience.
It's great to hear. Great to hear, especially from somebody so great on our football team this year. Now, big finale question. Where do you think the team's going to go this year? How far do you think we're getting?
I think we can really get a ring. I mean, with Bagley coaching and all the new talent we got, I think we can really go all the way.
All the way. That's the song we're going to be preaching this whole year. Well, once again, this is Buff Elites hosted by Ricky, here with Tayton, and we will see you next time.
And for Cross Country, we will have more highlights next episode. For BTV, I'm David Lowndes. Back to you, Miles.
Thanks, David. And now here's some highlights from our pep assembly. Tune in next time to BTV.